And the actual, how did it get there to Long Beach? I'm not 100% sure. I know that it went up for auction, and I believe Long Beach was the highest bidder of, I want to say it was around $3 million, but I don't have the exact number. And so they said, okay, they docked it in Long Beach. But there was one stipulation, and that was that it was never to be moved again. So they dismantled the boilers and took everything out of the ship that made her sail. So she has no way of moving again.
No, not at all. And it's beyond the hauntings that occur there. I mean, people go there, too. It's like a restaurant, too, right?
Oh, yeah. There's 3 restaurants and some different lounges and bars, and it's got all types of different things to do.
You know, in a moment, too, Eric, when we come back, Erika, after the break, we're going to listen to a couple EVP sounds from the Queen Mary. Those always fascinate me.
Me too. Yes, absolutely. I think if anything sends a shiver up my spine, it's an authentic EVP where you just go, wow, it's amazing.
Absolutely. I also remember, though, that you could hear sounds even without a tape recorder on that ship.
Yes, and you know, it's interesting because there's a few rooms on the ship where we get audible interaction without recording it on an EVP. So, and in the different places I've been to, that's the uniqueness of the Queen Mary, is that you actually can get audible interaction.
You know, people were looking around because they would hear sounds and they would think, well, maybe there's some crew person hiding behind something. There was nobody there.
No.
There's nobody there.
Yeah.
When was the first reported haunting on that ship?
I believe I recently heard the first reportings were when she was still sailing in the 50s.
Okay.
Shortly after the war, which is how room B340 kind of came about. And it's a fascinating story that I recently learned about. And so back in the I think 50s was when it started to become known, but it was very kept quiet. You know, they didn't
want anyone to know that.
Yeah, no, because it's very taboo. I mean, even now today, it's still slightly taboo, but being more and more accepted.
Thanks to you.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, you know, nobody has been frightened to the point where they never came back, right?
Not to my knowledge, no. I suppose anything is possible, but it's scary enough that it gives you that thrill you're looking for, but it's I always say it's a safe way to explore the paranormal.
How did the idea of Ghost Fest come about?
Well, you know, it was interesting. A couple years back, we were all just sitting around, and we started chit-chatting about different paranormal possibilities, and my colleagues and I just thought, you know, it'd be kind of fun to do kind of a big conference or a festival of like-minded people to come and share their different experiences, and you know, let's invite them all, the scientists, the psychics, everybody that wants to talk about paranormal activity. So
super. And the Ghost Fest, now if people want to come down there that Sunday or even for the whole weekend, what do they do?
Well, you can go online and reserve a space, or you can just come down, and it's actually free to California residents.
Okay.
The actual Ghost Fest with some of the speakers and the expo that we have going on there, and you just come on down.
Of course, with this program, you might get people from all 50 states.
We would love that.
You never know. And we'll be back in just a moment. We'll listen to some of these EVP sounds. We'll also take your phone calls with Erika Frost next on Coast to Coast. Well, next hour, we begin our Friday night and the Saturday morning open lines for you. But when we come back, we're going to take our phone calls with Erika Frost from the Haunted Queen Mary. We'll listen to some of the EVP sounds as well. That's all next on Coast to Coast AM. And welcome back to Coast. I'm George Noory. We're going to take your phone calls with Erika Frost from the Queen Mary. We'll listen to some EVP sounds as well for the rest of this hour. Erika, you do have some psychic abilities, don't you?
Yeah, some people would say that.
How did that happen for you?
Well, you know, it's been an interesting experience for me. I've dealt with it when my mother passed away when I was 6. She kind of came back to me. That would, I guess, be my first experience. But then I had a car accident when I was 20, and after that, things just really changed. I had a near-death
Oh,
experience.
my God.
Yeah, and I started seeing things and hearing things and feeling things. I just thought, oh my gosh, I must be going crazy. As I later did research, I found out, no, this is actually psychic phenomenon, and you're okay.
Whoa. Were you laid up long?
No, not about a year.
That's long.
yeah, it was a interesting experience.
Let's take some phone calls here. We'll go east to the Rockies. Ron in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Welcome to Coast to Coast. Hey, Ron.
How you doing, George?
Good.
And Erica?
Hi, Ron.
Something about the Queen Mary you might not know. You know it was used for troop transport World War II, to and fro, from New York to Dublin, Ireland.
Yes, actually, I absolutely knew that, and that's, I think, contributing to a lot of the paranormal activity. That's amazing.
Well, the man in charge of the 15,000 troops that were on that boat was my father.
Oh, my.
Wow.
And what he used to do is, I'll tell you a little tidbit after I mention a couple of facts.
Sure.
He passed away Easter Sunday in 2007. He was in the military for 30 years. He come out a command sergeant major, but during the early days, that's what they did, stuff like that. So after everything was settled in and the troops were snuggled for the evening, he used to go into the captain's cabin, and he and the captain and the actor David Niven used to play pinochle. Now, some years ago, 1990, 1989, I asked my father if he was interested in having some lamb to eat. And a friend of mine was a really good cook. He was very adamant about that. And I found out later on that the British fed our troops going over and coming back 3 times a day, 5 days it took to go over, cold mutton. So mutton was not on the GI's favorite things to eat when they got back stateside. But that's what he did. He was in charge of the troop movements going over back and forth.
Wow, that's amazing.
Synchronicity. Hey, Ron, thanks for that story. Appreciate it. Synchronicity indeed. I'm going to listen to one of our EVP sounds. Now, set the stage for this one for us, if you would, Eric.
Okay.
And this one, he says he likes you. What's the story behind this?
Well, you know, that particular one, I believe, was recorded down in the boiler room. And who this exactly is, we're not 100% sure. But they were, doing the normal EVP run, and what they got back was this male's voice saying he likes you. It could have been that he was referring to somebody in the group. But we're not 100% sure.
Somebody talking about you, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe that other sailor they were talking about.
Possibly.
All right, let's listen. He likes you. That was pretty quick.
Yeah.
Can we play that again, Danny? All right, here we go. All right, there it is. It is remarkable. There's clearly a voice there.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. And, you listen closely enough, you can find out what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm sure no one heard the voice when you were recording.
No, absolutely not. And that's what's so fascinating about the EVPs.
Next up, let's go to Morgan in Anchorage, Alaska, west of the Rockies. Morgan, take it away.
Hi, George. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure thing.
My question was, has there been people with no experiences of ghosts on the ship?
Oh, that's actually a really good question. Yeah, a lot of people come to the Queen Mary who don't know the ship is haunted and walk away not knowing the ship is haunted. But then there, are times where people do know it's haunted and they're looking for experiences, and just for whatever reason, maybe the stars weren't aligned right that night, or there's too much living activity on the ship. Whatever causes it to not be accessible, they just didn't have an experience with the paranormal. So yeah, absolutely.
Do you find, Erika, that let's say during Ghost Fest they all come out of the woodwork?
That's a great question. I do think that when we put forth that kind of like-minded energy, it makes it a little easier to connect in with the paranormal activity. So that certainly does help. But also, believe it or not, as strange as it sounds, the conditions also help as far as like weather and the time of night, and believe it or not, the moon cycles and all of those crazy things. So yeah, like minds definitely help.
Has anybody been able to record anything on video in terms of visual sightings of ghosts or spirits out there?
Well, we did.